Thanks for being with us today. Joining us now, live in D.C., along with me, not here with me, but in D.C. somewhere, probably at our Capitol office, is Barbara Comstock, Congresswoman, Republican, 10th District, that is the Northern Virginia area, Fairfax and kind of the western part there, Winchester and all that good stuff. Everybody always says she's going to lose, and she keeps winning. I picked against her last time. I'm done with that. Joining me now, Congresswoman Barbara Comstock. Hey, Barbara, great to have you.
Good morning. Great to be with you, and it's a great morning. I know you've been talking about the 3 prisoners that were released from North Korea, and that was a wonderful sight. And I know how, I certainly hope the whole country can come together and celebrate that great event.
Barbara, tell us about one of the prisoners, Kim Dong-chul, who was released today, lives in Fairfax and is in your congressional district. Tell me a little bit about your involvement with that and how this all happened.
Well, I haven't. He does live in Fairfax. I actually don't know if he's our constituent, but when we read about that, we were obviously thrilled that that he is going to be released. And so, I'm just thrilled with the good work the administration has done, the president has done. Mike Pompeo, I think we're already seeing is a great selection as Secretary of State, and I knew that from my work with him on Capitol Hill. He's on the Intelligence Committee. He really has a well-rounded background, and I think he is serving the country well. Now, somebody who is my constituent and lives in Ashburn, I believe, or in Loudoun County, is Gina Haspel, and I think she also displayed, her certainly strong policy knowledge, and as someone who was a career federal employee at the CIA, with all the challenges and difficulties, I really look forward to having her confirmed, and I do believe she'll be confirmed. And I think there's already bipartisan support there, and you have former intelligence people, Democrat and Republican, supporting her, so this really should be bipartisan, and it's a great example to women. And I think, I was reading something somebody wrote about how she was really prominent in the CIA in making sure women could stay in the CIA, advance, even after they had children, making sure they still had, all the career opportunities open to everybody else. So I think she'll be a great CIA director, and the fact that she is a career person, as somebody who represents, the CIA is in my district, and I think the career employees who do this hard intelligence work are going to be happy to see one of their own in this top position.
Well, listen, Congresswoman Barbara Comstock with us. Gina Haspel has served the CIA for 33 years. When I watched the hearings yesterday, and some of it I saw on TV, some of it I saw live before they went in the private session, but here was my question. I really couldn't get what these senators were saying. I mean, a lot of what she had to do, she had to follow orders, right? I mean, she was not in charge. So an order comes down in the position that she has, you have to follow it. Otherwise, you'll be court-martialed. I was perplexed as why one of the Republican senators didn't mention that. And then when they asked her the question, if you got an order from the president, would you carry it out? Well, if she's the CIA director, she has to carry it out. Otherwise, we have chaos in government. So, I mean, she would only have 2 choices, carry it out or resign, right? I mean, you can't not carry out an order of the president.
Yeah, the president and Gina Haspel have made clear, that the policy is different now than it was then. And, I think actually one of the Republican senators, I can't remember if it was Tom Cotton or another one, I did catch a little of it last night, pointed out that when all of this was reviewed years ago, President Obama said he wanted to make clear that any of the people who were there at the time and served under the orders at that time were not going to have their careers impaired and shouldn't. So that's why, when, John Brennan came forward, he wasn't held to that standard. So I don't think Gina Haspel should either. And I think she did. I think you did see, by the end of yesterday, I think bipartisan agreement that she did a good job, and that she should be confirmed.
I think she's going to get confirmed. I mean, John McCain bailed on her yesterday. Rand Paul's not voting for her. So, look, she needs 50 votes, Barbara Comstock. In the Senate, you take those two away, there's 51 Republicans. That leaves 49, which means that for Pence to break the tie, Haspel needs to pick up just one Democratic senator. I mean, I would really be surprised if she didn't pick up a handful of them. Joe Manchin, West Virginia, under fire. He's going to lose. I mean, I don't know what he benefits by voting against her. He said nice things about her. Then you got Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, a state that Trump won by, 35. You got Doug Jones.
Mark Warner, when he opened up the hearing, and spoke about her, he was certainly open to it, and I certainly hope we'll see him support her because she demonstrated, deep knowledge and understanding of the career employees that we have here working in Virginia, day and night and all over the country. And I think our federal workforce, it's a good statement of respect for them. And I think that's something that we should all embrace on a bipartisan basis.
Hey, Barbara, you're right. The Mark Warner vote is going to be the most interesting to follow because, again, as senator, U.S. Senator from Virginia, Langley is in his district. He's the ranking member of the intelligence agency and the Intelligence Committee, and so he has really deep knowledge of what is going on. My good friend Saxby Chambliss was the ranking member of that same committee, and he's come out in favor of Gina Haspel. He had talked to her in that capacity many times when the Republicans...
Yeah, and I'm getting that Mark Warner has heard from constituents like I have who worked at the CIA who say they've, those former CIA who've heard from them and have high respect for her. So I think that's why you've seen the bipartisan endorsement.
Wouldn't it be nice?
I think, as well as Republicans.
I think many of us for a long time thought that Mark Warner would be a statesman in the U.S. Senate and just not follow the partisan track. Be interesting to see. I think if he votes in favor of Haspel, people might get a little bit of a different opinion. And I know a lot of moderates upset with him because of the stance he's taken on this Russia collusion stuff and a lot of the nonsense that's come out of that committee. Now we understand the Senate committee is ready to wrap that up because they don't have any evidence either. John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. We're with Congresswoman, Republican 10th District, Barbara Comstock. She's up for re-election again in November, and also she faces a primary challenger in the 10th District on June 12th. Barbara, that's not mentioned. I'm on CNN today. I can't wait to bring it up. The generic congressional ballot has continued to tighten. According to a new CNN poll, the Democrats edge over the Republicans within the poll's margin of error since the first time in the cycle. So remember, this thing started, the first poll came out, Republicans were down by something like 25. It was like a huge number. Everybody said, oh my God. Now it's about tied. 47% say they're going to vote for the generic Democrat, 44% the Republican. This continues to narrow. What do you think?
Well, I think it's because we have been focused on wins for our constituents. Our constituents winning is the most important thing. And I think when you see all the good work that's being done for peace and prosperity, you see, the work being done in North Korea, really trying to, make the world a safer place. We have increased our defense spending. That actually is not just very good for our national security and throughout the world, but it is good for the Virginia economy, who leads on national security, around, with all of our industries here. And then the tax cuts are kicking in. Every one of my Democrat opponents has attacked me for the tax cuts. I could tell you, just yesterday, one of them attacked me saying, that I supported them, and I said, yes, I did. And in Loudoun County, which is about 42% of the district, there has been an independent study done by a group that works for Loudoun County that said the average Loudoun taxpayer, most of Loudoun taxpayers, are getting a tax cut. And in fact, most of the Democrat opponents, if you look at their financial disclosure forms, and you can kind of see they've got a couple of kids, or this is the value of their house, and where they live, and they have to declare their income, you can see that most of them will get a tax cut from this tax bill. So what they are saying and what the tax bill actually does is two different things. And the people they are talking to, there's going to be a disconnect there, because people are getting tax cuts. They are getting bonuses. Over 5.5 million people have gotten bonuses, including a lot of people in my district. And as I go around and I talk to our businesses, I talk to employers, I talk to small businesses, they have the highest optimism that they've had in years. And they know that we've got their back with a permanent tax code that allows them now to invest and to invest in their employees. We're supporting workforce development. We have the lowest unemployment rate, with women, with African Americans, with Hispanics. Virginia, continues to have a low unemployment rate. One of the biggest problems I hear from businesses is they need more employees. So they are training them themselves now, and we're trying to, provide policies that reinforce that so they can get people in, train them up, advance them in the workplace, get them so they have higher wages and benefits. And I think this is going to be, evident throughout the year. And I think that's why you're seeing that gap close. But the most important thing is we get wins for our constituents. And I've done that on the transportation front, too. I mean, I was just with Secretary Chow yesterday. There were 10 awardees who got a drone project, which is going to be, helping, some new science and technology and transportation efforts there. And Secretary Chow was just out of my district with a road grant, too, in the middle of Loudoun County. So we are delivering for our constituents and providing them wins. And at the end of the day, when you're out working for your constituents, listening to them, focusing on the issues they care about, I think they understand that you're working hard for them.
Congresswoman, you mentioned Elaine Chao. She's been under fire here in recent weeks as being perhaps part of this swamp, her father making virtually hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a shipping magnate off the Chinese government, and posting pictures of him and his daughter on Air Force One, then sending them to Chinese companies and trying to get shipping contracts, which he's done. Looks like it's kind of peddling her influence as transportation secretary. Are you uncomfortable with that?
I haven't seen that. My experience is I think the president selected her because she had been a labor secretary, a cabinet secretary before. She had been deputy transportation secretary and has all that knowledge and experience. And I can tell you from every time I am over at that department, it is one of the most professionally run departments with some of the top-notch staff that I have seen. I mean, every time I go over there, I meet somebody that I've, known from different walks of life who've been in the private sector as well as the public sector, who served and really have deep knowledge in transportation. So I think this is someone who brings the utmost professionalism to her job. And I think you saw the character from West Virginia who was attacking her. The president tweeted against him, too, and I think he ended up on the bottom of the heap, and rightfully so.
Well, the president came in and said he was going to drain the swamp. That doesn't look like draining the swamp to me. And, some of these people, Barbara, they have to be held accountable for this. I don't think taking pictures with your daughter in front of the Secretary of Transportation, Department of Transportation flag, and then peddling it for contracts, I just don't think that's what the president had in mind when he said draining the swamp, Congresswoman Comstock, but that's just me. Let's get to the Iran deal, JCPOA, the president pulling out of that 2 days ago. Are you in agreement with that, and why or why not?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I voted against the deal in 2015 due to its many shortcomings, and a lot of the recent press coverage, people have forgotten that Chuck Schumer and dozens of Democrats voted against it. This was not a treaty. President Obama did not want to go through the formalities of making this something that was permanent. So this never was a treaty. He didn't go through that process. And I voted against it, and it was voted against, with a large bipartisan margin against it in Congress in 2015. And they said, the deal did not dismantle Iran's nuclear program. It didn't provide anytime, anywhere inspection, something obviously we need. And it didn't cut back on their ballistic missile program. And I think with the money that they got now, we see them funding, things throughout the region, terrorism and worsening the humanitarian crisis in many areas. And they're supporting, our enemies in Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. these are not good things. But I also feel like the President has established relationships, and the administration has, with our European allies, with other allies around the world. They want to continue to work on denuclearizing Iran and Korea, and I think we have good things going on both fronts on that. So I do feel like there still will be room to work here and stabilize the region in a better way.
Congresswoman Comstock, I only have a minute, so very quickly, some Republicans in Congress before the midterms, they want to put up a vote on making the Trump personal end of the tax cut change permanent. Are you in favor of that?
Yeah, I know we're looking at doing that. I mean, actually, there's a few additional things that I might want on the tax bill. We're also, one of the things the president has talked about is doing sort of a tax cuts 2.0. So I'm not sure if it's going to be part of that, which that might make sense because there are some additional areas that we want to, even make the economy grow more, help our small business community, make things permanent. So I certainly, everything that we can make permanent, I'd like. If we can also improve and provide additional tax relief and incorporate that into it, I think that would be great too.
We're out of time. I want to thank Congresswoman Barbara Comstock for being with us today, Republican 10th
District.
District.
Remind people to vote in the June 12th Republican primary. We'd appreciate their vote, and it's Barbara Comstock for Congress.com.
All right, you want more information, Barbara Comstock for Congress.com. She is being challenged in a primary by Shaq Hill on June 12th. Barbara Comstock for Congress.com.